Yes, good afternoon, students. Good afternoon. And here, YouTube students, have you all joined? Good afternoon. Yes. Yes, Ravanti, I had good afternoon, Abhishek, Kamirati, and Omar, Yashasvi, Harshita, Dheeraj, Isha, Siddiq, Jasmine, Harini, Bharupallavi, Sophia, Naga, Dikshita, and so many. Yes, Ram Charan. Uh, you have raised hand. You have some query. You have any query? Yes, Deekshita. How about you? Yes, Isha. Thank you. Yes, I had lunch. Did you all have lunch? Yes, this side. Vinsheka. Vinsneka. Good afternoon. Mani, Sana, Gayatri, Sanjay, Kirti, Yagnan. Yes. So did you all practice that heart diagram yesterday? You completed that diagram? Yes. And did you all go through? So can we have a quick revision? Quick revision of double circulation. Yes, Vidya has raised hand. Yes, tell me your query, Vidya. Okay, let's have a quick revision. Yesterday we did double circulation and we did not write the flow chart, right? So that we'll do today. I told them we'll write in that flow chart. So let's do it today. So that will again revise our topic, right? So now what happens in double circulation? Tell me quickly. Ganga, new NCRT, okay? Okay. So what happens? The deoxygenated. So since it's deoxygenated, I will prefer to write that in blue. So the deoxygenated blood, from where it is coming? From the body tissues. It is coming from the body tissues. It enters right atrium. Right? Through what? Through superior and inferior vena cava. Very good. And then upon entering right atrium, what happens? The valve will open and this blood will go to right ventricle. Right? Then you have this oxygenated blood, right? So oxygenated blood simultaneously, right? From where it is coming? From the lungs. Where it enters? It enters into left atrium. From here it will go to left ventricle. From left ventricle to aorta. From aorta to body tissues. And let's complete this flowchart also. So from here, from right ventricle, where it will go? From right ventricle, yes, through that pulmonary artery, it will go into the lungs. For what? Oxygenation. And then this continues. So this shows double circulation. Clear everyone this? Okay. Today what I told you what we will study? Today we will study conduction of heart. Right? Just before leaving yesterday, I told you something about muscular heart. That muscular heart means that the function of the heart, that means the beating or the pumping action of heart, it is totally dependent upon what? It is dependent upon the cells only. Which cells? Muscle cells. It is controlled by cell, not dependent, but yes, controlled by those muscle cells only. Whereas some other organisms, they will have neurogenic heart, wherein the heart activity will be regulated or controlled by the, yes, by what? Neurons, right? But since ours is myogenic, so we will talk about myogenic heart, right? So let's start with that. So that is called conduction. We will study conduction of heart. But before that, I want to talk a little bit about our heart wall. Heart wall. What do you mean by heart wall? Heart wall. Yes, tell me. What do you mean by the heart wall? Heart wall. Not the septum. Wall it is. Wall. The covering of heart. If I am talking about heart wall, it means the covering. Yes, yes. Some of you are answering also. The covering of the heart, right? Okay. So let me write over here that I am going to talk about the covering of heart. So little bit I talked yesterday about pericardium. Remember? Remember everyone? Pericardium. So suppose this is heart, right? Like this. Yesterday you learned one structure of heart. A very rough diagram I'm taking now. Right? So these are the two upper chambers. Right. The two upper chambers and then the two lower chambers. Right? Now, can you see this full part? This one. This. Right? So inside you have those four chambers, but I am going to talk about the covering. So this part, if you cut and see, that means the transverse. You are cutting the heart, and when you see the layers or the membranes which cover the heart, how many membranes or layers you will be able to see? Let's see that. Right? So first, let's start with the innermost. Right? So the innermost, I will make it here. Yes. So this yellow one, it shows the innermost covering, that is called endocardium. Right? What it is called? It is innermost inside now. So it is called endocardium. And what this endocardium is made up of? It is made up of simple squamous epithelium. Remember in tissues you studied simple squamous epithelium, right? So this endocardium is made up of simple squamous epithelium. Then what is present right after the endocardium? So right after endocardium, we have a very, very thick layer. Let me make that thick layer. Let me make this properly. Yes, so let me now make that very thick layer of cell. This is the thickest among all the layers. The one that I am drawing now is the thickest. See how thick it is. Can you guess what it is? Which layer it is? Let me cover it completely. Yes. So which layer it is? Can you make a guess? I told you already it is the thickest. Let me check your answers. Yes, see that is correct. Joshika is correct. Harini is correct. Yes. So this layer, it is muscular layer, that is called myocardium. That means it contains which muscles? It will contain the cardiac muscles. Remember, cardiac muscles present in heart. So you can see how thick layer it is forming, right? Then what after this myocardium? After this myocardium, there is another layer that is growing this green color. Okay, so this particular layer, again it is there present here. It's this one. So can anyone guess what would be the name of this layer? This one is epicardium. What it is? Epicardium. Now remember yesterday I told you there are two outer coverings, parietal and visceral pericardium, right? So this epicardium, it is actually the visceral pericardium, right? This is also known as the visceral pericardium or epicardium. This is also made up of simple squamous epithelium, right? It is also made up of simple squamous epithelium. Then few more layers, one more layer. It is present again towards the outside. Here, this one, the one that I am drawing in blue. So if this green one is visceral pericardium, can you tell me which one would be this blue? Blue would be which layer? Yes, yes, very good. So this one would be parietal pericardium. Right? This one would be parietal pericardium. Now you guys are going to tell me what is present between the parietal and the visceral pericardium. Quick, quick. Which fluid? Which fluid? Yes, quick. Yes, yesterday we have written, we have mentioned already. Here. What is this fluid called? This is called as pericardial, right? So this is the innermost part and this is the outermost part. So you can see, and then what is present inside this? Now here the chambers will be present, right? So this is from innermost to the outermost. So you can see how many coverings or the wall this heart is having. Understood now all the layers one by one, everyone? Yes, for today's topic, one of the layers that I am going to talk about is very important. That is the myocardium. SSE is simple squamous epithelium, Sakshi. Write down the full form over there. Simple squamous epithelium. Make this quickly. Yes, Dheeraj, yes. So you have this heart now. Little bit imagine in 3D. You have heart. Inside there are four chambers. Okay, just think like a ball which has some four chambers inside. So ball it is having so many coverings. So like that overall on the heart you have so many covering, right? So you have so many covering. So this is when you cut and see the transverse section. So now I'm going to tell you the importance of this whole muscular layer. That is very important. That's why I wanted to show where it is present. So this muscular layer it is present all over the heart. So that is what helps in pumping action, the beating of heart, pumping action, everything. Yes, Dheeraj, same thing I'm going to teach you today. That's why I have told you about this first. Right, done everyone, so we can proceed with the conduction part. Bhavya, soon you will get the answer to your question. Yes, written? No, both the no. There they have cerebrospinal fluid. That is different. Yes, chalo. Now let's proceed. Remember, now I'm going to only and only talk about this muscular layer. You can see how thick it is. Why? Because it has got some importance over there, right? Yeah, as I told you, it is only responsible for the beating or the functioning of the heart, right? Okay. Now listen to this, everyone. One difference we have studied now between the skeletal muscle. Let me write over here. Skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle, right? There are so many differences, but one difference what we studied, that the skeletal muscles, they are under voluntary control. That means they are we can control. Right now I'm moving my hand, so this is voluntary action. That means it is under my will. Whereas cardiac muscle movement, this is involuntary, right? This is voluntary and this is involuntary. The skeletal muscle control, who is controlling? It is our brain which is controlling, right? So now just understand how come your muscle comes to know. Now when I am moving my hand for writing, how my muscle cell in my hands, they come to know that they have to work. So my brain is telling them. But how my brain is telling them? It is with the help of some impulses, or we can say some neural signals, right? I hope you know little bit basic about the neurons, right? They send those messages or the impulses or signals so that the function can be done, right? So this is, suppose here you have a neuron. This is a neuron, right? You know the neuron has axon, right or not? And then you will have your skeletal muscle over here. So this neuron is sending impulses and giving signal to the skeletal muscle, and that's how skeletal muscle will function. That's why I'm telling you it is under our voluntary control, right? But now think about cardiac muscle. It is involuntary. It doesn't need help of any neuron to regulate them. So how they are getting activated, stimulated, or how they are able to generate that impulse? Because these cells are in the heart called auto excitable cells. Very, very important. Auto means self. Excitable means they are generating impulse by themselves. Here, neuron is telling this muscle, okay, now you have to contract, now you have to contract, like that. But here, the cardiac muscle itself knows that they have to contract, so they doesn't need any signal from the neurons, right? Now, just because they are able to, generate impulse by themselves, that's why they are called as auto excitable cells. Clear this point, everyone, about voluntary and involuntary control. And what is the shape of cardiac muscle? Cardiac muscles, they are branched. They are having branch structure like this. So this is one cardiac cell. Then another one, branch structure like this. Like this. This is another cardiac muscle. Right? So this is the structure of a cardiac muscle cell. Clear till here, everyone? The difference between voluntary and involuntary, and because the cardiac muscle, they are able to generate impulse by themselves. That's why they are called auto-excitable. Right? Clear, everyone? Till here. Now, can anyone tell me when we use this term, generating impulse or sending signals to the next neuron? So what do you mean by that generation of impulse? What do you mean by, when do we say a cell has generated an impulse? When do we say that? Okay, somebody is writing action potential. Okay. So how is that action potential generated? By a movement, by a stimulus. Okay. Obviously, stimulus is very much required, right? And now understand this thing. Understand. When do we say that this muscle? Here, let's talk about skeletal. This skeletal muscle, it is stimulated. Very easy. Very easy. Just listen here. When this neurons, at this neuromuscular junction in between, it is going to release some chemicals. Those chemicals will bind to the receptor of the muscle. Then as soon as the muscle receives this stimulus, receives this message, what will happen? Sodium ions from outside, right? They will enter inside the muscle cell, or same goes for neurons also. When the sodium ions, they enter into the neurons, right? We say that they are generating the impulse. So there is one term for it. Now I want you to learn that term. It's called depolarization, right? What it is called? Depolarization. See, very easy. Understand. A stimulus is given to this nerve, to this neuron. Yes, I want to make this muscle to contract. So this neuron will generate impulse. How it will generate impulse? By taking in the sodium ions inside, and then it will do its process. It's a long process that we will study definitely. And then it will tell this muscle cell by releasing some chemicals that you have to contract now. So now what will happen to this muscle cell in the beginning? A lot of sodium ions are going to enter inside the muscle cell, and that's how we say that it is generating impulse. Then it will contract and do the whole process, right? Huh. Now same way here cardiac muscles will also do, but then they are doing it on their own. Why? Because they are auto excitable, right? They don't have any neuron to tell them ki ha now you have to generate impulse, now you have to contract. They will contract on their own. Why? Because they are auto excitable. How? By taking sodium ions inside. So what is this sodium ion going inside? What it is called? It is called depolarization. We say that the tissue over there, it is depolarized, and that's how it is generating the impulse, and it will send the impulse to next cell. Clear everyone? Yes, potassium also, but potassium will go in the reverse direction, right? Reverse direction. Conduction of nerve impulse in itself a huge topic. So here I am just telling you the basic, like how a impulse is generated due to entry of sodium, that is called depolarization. Right? Right? Okay. Now let's see how this functions in the heart. Right? Very easy now. If you have understood all this, then the rest of the part is going to become very easy for you. So let me draw a very basic heart now. We don't want a complex structure today like yesterday we did. So I will make a very basic structure today. So all these parts, they are not that much required today. So whatever required, that I will make. And here you have the balance. Right? Right? Okay. Yes. Huh. So now see this heart. It is all covered by what? Muscle cell. I want all of you all to imagine the muscular cell. Muscular cell. Everywhere muscular cell. Leave the chambers. They are inside. है ना? But it is all covered by very thick muscular cells. Right? So now here we have some muscular cells which together are called SA node. Right? There you have a patch of everywhere it is muscle cell, but in that particular location in the right atrium, there is a patch of muscle tissue that is called SA node. Full form is sinoatrial node. That I will write in the flowchart. Right? Okay. Then these muscle cells, they are leading to a path like this. Few more muscle cells, of course, through all the muscle cells only. So here also, now there is a patch of muscle cell which is called AV node. That is atrioventricular node. Right? Then let me erase this because this is not required, right? Okay. Then from here, it divides into two like this, two structures. All are muscle tissue. The one which I am drawing with this color, all represent the muscle tissues only. Right? So now here, these are called a bundle of his, and finally these two, the right bundle and the left bundle is there. So these two, can you see, they are just covering the ventricle. These muscle tissue, it is the present in the ventricular region. So this is called Purkinje fibers. Right? Understood? Everywhere there are muscle tissues, but then there are some, muscle tissue, some patches of muscle tissue that are very important. Why? Because those particular ones are auto-excitable. That means they are the ones who are going to generate the impulse. Right? No Dheeraj. Ciliary muscles are there in your eyes. I am talking about heart. Yes, Ramcharan, I am about to talk about it. Right? Okay. Now, what do all these things do? All these patches of muscles which are auto-excitable, what do they do? Understand? It's very easy. Just listen to the explanation that I am giving you. Right? Okay. So now you have SA node over here. That means what it is? The muscle tissue. So I told you just now that muscle tissue is able to generate impulse by itself. So what will happen? This SA node, since it is auto-excitable, it is taking the sodium ions inside and it is becoming what? It is becoming what? What is the term I told you? When the sodium ion enter, it generates impulse. What it is called? Quick. Just now I told. Very good, Dheeraj. Sandeep, very good. Yes, Shamita, Nihal. Depolarized. It will get depolarized. That means it is generating impulse. So first, let's write about SA. That is sinoatrial node. Right? So what it does? It is capable of generating impulse by doing what? By taking Na plus inside. That means by doing depolarization. So now can we say that these cells got excited? These cells got excited, right? They are auto-excitable cells. Now what is happening? SA node, it is generating impulse on its own. Hai na? So we call it as pacemaker. Why pacemaker? Because it is able to generate around 70 to 75 impulses per minute. Understood? So what is happening? In 1 minute, 72 times it is getting depolarized. In 1 minute, 72 times it is getting excited. It is taking the sodium ions from the surroundings. That means outside the cell you have the extracellular fluid now. So from there it is taking the sodium ions. Right? So how many times it is doing? It is doing 72 times in 1 minute. Right? So now what will happen when it is getting excited? Now what I told you, it will transfer that impulse to the other cells also. So you can see it is transferring the impulse to these three. Can you see these three lines I have drawn? They are actually indicating the muscle cells only. Right? What these are called, these three are called internodal pathway. Which indicates nothing. It just indicates that it is passing that message. Now, if your friend tells you a secret, you will tell to rest of the four. Those four will tell to 8 people. Like that happens, right? Here also same thing is happening. The SA node has generated the impulse. It is sending, or it is transferring that impulse to other cells, other muscle tissue. Those muscle will spread to other muscle tissue, nearby muscle tissue, right? So now this signal, you can see it is going to the other side of the atrium also. So when this signal it reaches to all the muscle tissue in the atrium, what will happen? These two chambers, atrium, will contract. So this was the message which was given to all the muscle tissue that now you have to contract. Clear? So now what will happen when both the atrium will contract? Yes, both the atrium, they are getting squeezed. They are contracting. So now the blood will flow into the ventricle. That's how the blood goes to the ventricle. Understood? Understood the first part? Pacemaker generating impulse, telling to all the muscle tissue around the atrium, contraction of atrium, blood going into the ventricle. Yes. Then next, what happens? Yes. So from SA node through the internodal pathway, now the message is going to AV node, right? First atrium getting contracted. By the time all the message, it is also going to the AV node, right? Then the AV node is going to pass that message to whom? To bundle of his, right? Can you see here after AV node there is this bundle of his which then divides into two, right as well as left, right? It divides into right bundle as well as left bundle. So it is going in both the direction now, right? And then from there, where it is going, where it is sending that message into the next part, that is Purkinje fibers. And can you see how Purkinje fibers are present? How are they present? They are present all over the ventricle. Can you see they are present all over ventricle? I've just drawn it on the sides, but I want all of you all to have that imagination in 3D. It is spreading to all over the ventricle. So now when the message spread to all those Purkinje fiber, what is going to contract now? Quickly tell me. Quickly tell me. Ventricles. Very good. So when from AV node bundle his to Purkinje fiber, the message goes. Now who will contract? Ventricle will contract. When this ventricle is getting contracted, now the blood will enter where? It will enter to the pulmonary artery and aorta. That is what is called the conduction of heart. So here whose role is main? SA node. Because why? SA node is generating impulse. Now please understand this thing, that AV node can also generate impulse, right? They are also muscle tissue. They are also auto-excitable. But then there is difference. AV node, it can generate around 40 to 45 impulses per minute. And not just that, Purkinje fibers are also auto-excitable. Even these can generate around 30 impulses per minute. But see, now what I have written, SA node can generate 70 to 75, AV node 40 to 45, and Purkinje fibers 30 impulses per minute, right? But full heart, it is following whose instruction? SA node, AV node, or Purkinje fiber? Tell me. Yes, very good. Why? Why? Because they are generating more number of impulses. Yes. So the answer for this question is SA node. SA node is the one which is generating more number of impulses, and that's why the impulses of SA node will be followed. The AV and Purkinje, whatever impulse it is generating, that will not move ahead. Why? Because it is very less in number, right? Clear? So this is the reason that SA node is called pacemaker. Why? Who is setting the pace? SA node only, na? The full heart muscle tissue. They are following whose instruction? SA node, AV node, or Purkinje fiber. They are following SA node's instruction. That is why SA node is called as the pacemaker of heart. Clear, everyone? So now what happens? From here till here, let me change the color. Yes, when this is all happening till here, the atrial contraction will happen. And then when this completes, what will happen? Ventricular contraction. And of course, when the ventricular contraction is occurring, the atrium will definitely relax. At that time, the atrium is relaxing. All the four chambers, they cannot contract together. Keep this in mind. All four chambers, the entire heart cannot contract at once together. First, atrium will contract, then ventricle will contract. Ramchair, as they are surrounding the ventricle, so that's how they are going to help in contraction of ventricle. How much time it takes? I told you in 1 minute 72 times. In 1 minute 72 times. Yes, I will definitely move. But have you all understood? I will recap once again. Don't worry. I'm just looking at all your doubts. Parnika, no. Ha, Lakshmi, I will recap once again, don't worry. I'm just going through all your questions. Yes, you can say that, heart of heart, like that. 72 is an average value. For average adult, it is 72 beats per minute. But yes, it can vary. It varies upon what activity we are doing. And if we are doing engaged in more physical activity, the heartbeat will increase. You would have experienced that when you are running, the heartbeat will increase or doing some physical activity. And when we are at rest, sitting normally, then we have a normal, an average of 72 beats per minute. Yes? So, some people, they say there is this artificial pacemaker in the heart. Yes, have you heard? People will have that artificial pacemaker in the heart. So now you understand the importance of pacemaker, right? See, if pacemaker is defective, will the heart be able to beat? Will the heart be able to do the pumping action? No, right? So when there is this defect in the SA node, it is rectified using artificial pacemaker. It is a very small device which will be fitted into the right atrium. So you can just see the location. Where is the location of SA node? It is the right side, है ना? Upper right corner of right atrium. AV node is there in the lower left corner. Then near to this atrioventricular septum, we have this bundle of his, and then Purkinje fibers. They are present all around the ventricle. It's just the name that is given. Bundle of his. That Ramsar, that can be checked very easily, na? Whenever you visit a doctor, they will check the pulse like this, na? And then there is this stethoscope also. Parnika, for that there are so many reasons. Siva is asking, ma'am, you know Charles Darwin. I don't know him personally, but then about his theories, I know. You are asking whether I know Charles Darwin personally or whether I know his theories. Ask clearly. Okay, so many back-to-back messages are coming. Tangero, because only that has the property to depolarize. Only those, the outer layer, parietal outer layer. Yes, that is correct. I do not read your name. Yes, this side, YouTube students, what are you up to? Yes, what is going on? I will definitely show the previous slide. Full form of SA and AV. I think I have written. Chalo, SA I have written. AV I will write. AV is atrioventricular node. Right? AV is atrioventricular node. Yes. Quickly now I am going to recap. So those who could not understand, just see carefully. Pragna, I told you simple squamous epithelium. Charles Darwin, I missed that message once again. Charles Darwin, what he said about heart. Can you retype that? No. Love and duck together, one heartbeat. Not separate. Yes, Priyanka. Yes. Definitely. Because you are excited at that time, na? So definitely. Yes, so now let me give you a quick recap. Listen, everyone. Yes, listen. Now stop typing, everyone. Just listen. What do we have around our heart? We have a very thick layer of cardiac muscle, right? Cardiac muscles are auto-excitable. Auto-excitable means they can generate impulse by themselves. How they can do? By taking the sodium ions inside the cell and also passing that message to the rest of the muscle tissue, right? So in the right atrium upper corner, we have a patch of muscle tissue that is called SA node. Now this SA node, it generates impulse and sends that impulse to nearby muscle tissue. So when that impulse it spreads to all the muscle tissue around atrium, what will happen? Atrial contraction. Then, when this atrial contraction happens, blood flows from the atrium to the ventricle. Now what happens? All these messages, they have reached AV node, from AV node to bundle of His, from bundle of His to Purkinje fibers. So you can see Purkinje fibers, they are spread all around the ventricle. So this message, when it goes to all the Purkinje fibers, then the ventricle will contract. When the ventricle contraction occurs, the blood will move to aorta and pulmonary artery respectively. Right? This is called the conduction of heart. Clear now? Yes, yes. When this chapter will come, it will be done. Kami Reddy, ask me doubt from here. Yes. Okay. Now there is one term that I am going to add. Right? One new term I am going to add. This word is there, the contraction. Right? Contraction. There is another term for that. That is called systole. So systole means contraction. And contraction, you know, contraction will happen, then only the blood will move out of that chamber. There is another term that is called diastole. So diastole means what? Relaxation. So when relaxation is happening, if I say, see, if I use the term ventricular diastole, that means what is happening? The ventricles are relaxing. And when I say ventricles are relaxing, that means what? Blood is getting filled inside the ventricle. So that is called relaxation inside ventricle. Right? Same way, atrial diastole also occurs. See, all the four things occur. Right? Atrium will show systole also, atrium will show diastole also. Ventricle will show systole as well as ventricle will show diastole. Right? But all of them, they cannot contract together. But they can relax together. Right? Remember this. All the four chambers cannot contract together, but they can relax simultaneously together. Yes, Joshika, yes. Yes, lucky. You are very lucky that this topic is there in NCERT. ठीक है? हाँ. So that we will study under cardiac cycle. Right? This atrial systole, atrial diastole, ventricular systole and ventricular diastole. When what occurs, their sequence, that we are going to study tomorrow. So what would be our topic for tomorrow? Cardiac cycle. Right? Cardiac cycle. So we are going to see the sequence of all these four phases. Clear? Yes, okay, so you wanted to see this diagram, right? So you all can make a note of it. Yes, make this diagram, it is very important. All those muscle tissue which I have labeled, those are important. Those are important, right? Yes, you can all note down. There is a hole in the heart, Yashwant. Can I explain that? Yes, to other students. You might have seen maybe in some movies or maybe a real life situation with someone that people say na there is a hole in heart. Heard of this? Hole in heart like that. Yes? So where is that hole exactly? Where is that hole exactly? Does anyone know? I will tell you. Yes, so where is that hole exactly in the heart? I will tell you. See. Now I will just make a box diagram. Right? Okay. Now, can you tell me what is this? What is this? What I have marked there? Which septum is that? What is the name of that septum? Tell me the name. SA node. Manju, SA node. Yes. This is interatrial or interauricular septum. Now what happens? See, understand. In the embryo, what is embryo? What is embryo? Embryo is not baby. Embryo is the growing baby. Growing baby in the sense when the baby is growing inside mother. है ना? When it is growing inside the mother. Fetus, right? Okay. So now in those embryonic stages, in that fetal stages, what happens is this septum is not formed completely, right? There is opening in between these two. There is one hole in between both. So here in the embryonic stages, intermixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood occurs, right? But when this embryo develops into a complete baby, right? See, initially all of us we had this hole in the interauricular septum, right? All of us. But then when the baby grows completely, this septum forms completely. That means the hole will be sealed. Why? Because the septum is forming properly after complete growth. So that's how now the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood is separated. But now what happens? There are some babies in which this septum cannot close that hole. The septum doesn't grow completely. So what happens? This hole remains over there. Right? Since the septum doesn't grow, the hole remains over there. So those kids are born normally. But then what happens is because of intermixing of blood, that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, they are unable to get that much amount of oxygen in their body because mixing of blood is there, na? So all the body tissues they don't get oxygen insufficient amounts. So those kids they will get tired very easily. Why? Because they are not getting oxygen. If less oxygen means less energy, right? So this is called that hole in the heart. So that's the location where exactly the hole is present. Yes, Manya, correct. Foramen ovary. That is the word for that hole. Correct. Yes, tan zero, yes. Yes, Nihal. It can definitely be treated. You know all the cardiologists, right? Those doctors. So this can be sealed. If it is, if identified in early stages, it can be definitely surgically treated. Surgically, it can be sealed. No, Harshita, no. No. Why you are comparing with amphibians? The rest of the things are different, na? है ना? Right? Okay. Yes, so you can just complete this and I'll end the lecture here today. So for tomorrow, which topic we have kept? Yes, for tomorrow, the topic is cardiac cycle. Yes. Yes, I will share the QR also. Yes, so bye class. Yes, bye. Position of what you are asking? Hole. In comparison with what? Here though I told you about in the interauricular septum. In the septum between the atria. Harika, not getting sufficient oxygen, or when the muscle cells don't work properly, when they lose their property of this auto excitability. Yes, Lucky, the answer to that question we are going to study tomorrow, right? Position of heart is in between the lungs with the base slightly towards the left. Yesterday I have shown in the diagram. So please move side. Yes. Yes, okay, so I'm going to end the lecture over here, right? Chalo, bye. Bye. Enjoy.
ఏంటి నేను 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 ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాను చెప్పాను ఆగు అన్నాను కదా చేస్తాను కదా